Hi everybody, my name is Erica Valdez. I am a real estate advisor based out of Long Beach, California. Thank you for visiting my channel. I hope that you enjoy my video today. Let's go ahead and talk about the hidden challenges that no one warns you about when it comes to real estate, especially in the luxury market, like for example, Hidden Canyon. I recently sold a property in Irvine in the Hidden Canyon community for $5.75 million. However, this property came with a lot of legal layers behind the scenes. And I want to just share a little bit about what those legal layers were and what challenges I posed and what we had to navigate through in order to be able to get this property listed and sold within 45 days. So let's go ahead and talk about property seizures, back taxes, federal liens, and the U.S. government interest in this particular property. So number one, what is a property seizure? A property seizure is something that happens when the government has legal control over the property. This usually happens when criminal activity or fraud or unpaid debt is involved in some way. In this particular case, the home was part of a federal seizure, but not everyone that was involved was guilty of a crime. Therefore, it opened the door for negotiation, allowing my client to retain proper legal counsel to help her negotiate her right in interest for this property. After a long period of time of back and forth, she was finally granted the right to sell the property and walk away with a percentage of interest assigned to her by the U.S. government. So once we knew that we were only pending the authorization for her to sell, we began to be very proactive and work behind the scenes by, putting together the right team of title, escrow to ensure that once we were able to list the property, that all of the information we needed to have was set. There was no hiccups, nothing that could potentially slow down the process of selling this home. Not to mention, the U.S. government was very specific about how long my client had to list and sell the property. So we also were faced with a timeline that we needed to meet. And they also wanted to review all offers and have a say-so in the acceptance of an offer to ensure that, the buyer's funds were coming from a legal source, etc. Okay. So we worked very diligently to ensure that we read every document, that I submitted everything to title and escrow just to make sure that if there was anything that they were going to need, we were requesting it in advance. And we did exactly that. And it was great. I mean, we were on track for everything. Finally, we went ahead and, we were able to list the property. Prior to, though, I was made aware that there was back taxes. That was something that we were looking into reviewing, the federal liens, etc. So let's talk about the back taxes. So this home was seized in 2020, and my client solely depended on her husband, and therefore she was unable to pay her property taxes. So I'm sure you know that basing it on the price point, location of this home, those property taxes were extremely high and they were backed up. So because there was a lot of unpaid property taxes due to her having to fall behind, now the city and the county was able to place a claim on the home, a claim that needed to be cleared prior to moving forward with the sale of the home. Now, my client did not have the funds to cover that extensive amount. So we were able through escrow to coordinate full payment of those back taxes upon the close of escrow. That, was something that was coordinated through our escrow officer. And again, I can't stress enough why having the right team is so important. Then we were faced with the federal liens. So we knew that we needed to have these taken care of. What are federal liens? So a federal lien is a legal claim from the government. And basically, they're often due to unpaid income taxes or fines of some sort. It basically gives the government the right to the proceeds of the sale of the home in order to cover the outstanding debt, which applied in this case, which is also why she was only granted a specific percentage. Now, this is where also, we're going into the US government having a level of interest in the property. This also applies. And why do they have this interest in the property? Well, it's because the reason why they have a stake in the property is because it's either going to be financial or legally. In this case, it was both legally and financial. Why? Because this home was used in a criminal case. And although the spouse was not involved in any way, it still affects the way the home is sold and when the home can be sold. So that was, our challenge, because we needed to make sure that we were touching base on every single one of these things and that we were dotting our I's and crossing our T's every step of the way. In terms of the, US government having interest, I mean, we needed to document everything. Everything had to be documented, everything had to be communicated to them, and everything had to be cleared by them. So it made it a little bit more difficult for us, as a team, me as the realtor, and then my title and escrow officer, because we needed to make sure that it was a full circle. Everybody, was in sync. We were able to manage that, which was, amazing and speaks volumes, to the success of the sale of this home. In my client's case, again, we were able to get ahead of it because we were able to create a plan, create, a process for how we were going to handle this particular transaction. She hired the right legal counsel. I, was on board with her. I made sure we had the right title and escrow officers involved in order to ensure the best outcome possible. And because of that, we were able to accept an all cash offer and we were able to do a 15-day close. All of that was possible because we were so proactive, even though this was a very complex listing, not your ordinary listing. So I just wanted to share this. Maybe you can grab some information from here if you're dealing with a similar situation, or if you don't know who to talk to. There's a lot of information. I'm happy to share that with you guys. So if you or anybody is going through a complicated real estate situation, whether it's a divorce, a legal matter, an inheritance, you don't have to handle this alone. Give me a call. I can help. I would love the opportunity to help you understand your options and get you the best outcome you deserve. So please feel free to follow. And if you have any questions, you can give me a call. Again, my name is Erica Valdez with Valdez Homes based out of Long Beach, California. And my phone number is 562-221-7800. You can also visit valdezhomes.net.